Hey there. If you've been working through a new role or an existing role, but you've been doing it for a period of time, let's say a year or 2 years, maybe even just 6 months, and you want to know how to figure out what you've learned, what you've achieved, and how to move forward, I'm going to say stick around tonight because I'm going to use last year of me doing content creation as a model to walk through 2 lessons, 2 improvements or achievements, and a goal for moving forward. This is just my example of an approach for how to conduct your own assessment and apply the plan, do, review framework in anything that you're doing as a purposeful leader. Let me just share with you on this channel, you get actionable tips, techniques, and strategies to invest your 1,440 minutes that you have every day so that you can focus on achieving your priorities. See, October is my content creation anniversary month, and tonight wraps up a whole month where I've been doing assessments for myself for where I've come from over the last year. And I don't use numbers necessarily as my marker, but I have seen growth doing what I've been doing, and I just want to share some of my learnings and some of my achievements and where I'm going moving forward. Thank you for coming along, hanging out with us. I see you already, the community is already showing up, and I appreciate it. I will ask you all this evening if you are. Um, New to the channel, we'll talk about that in 1 second. Just tell you, I'm Florence. I'm at Equip Institute here on YouTube. But if you are so I'm glad to have you here in the building. So before I go much further, I do want to say hello to someone, and I want to say publicly again because I'm so excited for you, Yolanda Ravens Talk with Yolanda. She hit 1,000 s- uh, subscribers this week, and it was one day before her 8th month of doing her show. And so I'm super excited for you and just honored to have gotten to meet you and getting to know you and working alongside you. So that my my mic is muted. Mike must have been, oh, for one scene. Okay, thank you for telling me. I got to figure it had to have been. I know which one it was. Thank you. I'll fix that. See, still learning. So thank you for being here. And of course, we have Frank Jackson in the building, moderator, community manager. Thank you for being here with us. So I'm going to hop right into the content tonight. It's going to be short. Again, 2 lessons, 2 improvements, or you could say achievements and a goal going into Yep, into 2025 year, as I call it, my next 1 year. Now, this is different than what I do at the end of the year for the calendar year assessment, because I'm going through that as well. So, number one, I learned the number one lesson. This is the 2 lessons I want to talk about. Number one is stay the course. When you take on something new, in this case, me taking on content creation, starting with no knowledge, the first year, as they say, I started ugly, but I kept going. This year, I challenged myself to level up a bit, and it was tough. I tried some things, and I'll talk about, I tried some new things. I tried recording some Monday motivations and putting them out. I'm still doing them, I just haven't been putting them out. Maybe I will go back to that. In fact, I'm almost sure I'll go back to it. I then s- put myself through a challenge to start blogging. That was definitely 87 days. And one of the in those 87 days, I had to stay true to getting through the day-to-day activities that I had committed to. And and not give up, not say it's not worth it, not say I'm not getting anything out of it, not say I'm not growing fast enough, because growth is measured differently for each of us. So for me, going through building the processes, because I am a workflow process oriented person, because I believe that those workflows and those processes will lead you to the outcome that you seek to produce. So staying true and staying the course to actually launch a blog and begin to put content up. Then had stay in the course. Another thing, launching the VIP lounge, put it out, worked along people like Miss Yolanda, who encouraged me to keep going and not giving up. So, yeah, stay the course. Don't get distracted because it's easy to do. For whatever that thing is, don't get distracted and go off and do something else. It's kind of like in our productivity systems, our notes management system, our task management system, our calendar system, our booking system. If we're constantly making changes and not staying focused to refine and get better at it, we never get better because we're constantly chasing the next thing. So this stay the course is all about not only not quitting, but also staying on a path and giving yourself enough time to improve in all areas. And the improvements do come. They come as a natural part. I was reading a blog and the author wrote about a reminder about how we learned to walk when we were babies. We first got up, you learned to flip over. Then you got up on your knees. Then you started pulling yourself up and you fallen. Then you took a step and you fell and you did it again. But eventually, one day you were walking from one place to the other without anyone helping you, not holding on to anything because you stayed the course. Taking on any new role is exactly that, no matter how big or how small it is. So that's lesson number one that I really took away this year and I settled in on as I was going through the assessments for this year. Number two, you may have heard me say this, but master the mundane. It is not always sexy or fun or exciting to do the mundane activities. Example, every week I got to build the scenes for the show. I'm using content creation simply as an example. You could be doing any area of your life, but every week it's making sure the scenes are ready for the show. Every week, making sure that I've got a bottle of water here ready to go if I need it. Every week, going through my script. Every week, practicing my opening and my closing and the middle, the content. What am I going to deliver? How am I going to say it? What do I want the team to get, the community, you, the audience, to get out of what I'm saying? Every week, making sure I've got clean clothes. I know, what a revelation. But the mundane things, because it's the mundane, it's mastering those. It's the same thing in your productivity system. Whatever you use for your calendar, master using it. We talk about that a lot. I mastered this year managing my content creation calendar. I did a couple of things. Along with learning new skills, I figured out how to take some of the content and put it in a tool that I could just schedule it to go out, pre-write everything that I was even going to put out myself. So social media posts are written long before I put them out. That's mastering the routine, being consistent and mastering. You've got 2 weeks of social media posts. What did you cover in the last week that you want to make sure? What are the things you want to pull out? What do you want people to know? How do you want to help people? Going through that week after week after week after week. It is not fun. It's not, bright lights. It's just sitting down doing the work. So master the mundane. Number 3 is really getting into the improvements. And last year I said I wanted to update the studio. So I've done some things to update the studio. You're looking at one right here, and I'm talking into it. I got a new mic, a better mic. It's just adorned with a dock pop. If you don't know, this beautiful purple cover or whatever you call this, I call it's a dock pop. It's adorned with that. Love it, but it's a Shure MV7 Plus. Love this thing. That was a level up. It took a whole lot of stress out of me trying to figure out how to sound better because I was stressed out. I changed the lights in the studio, got better lights. Are they perfect? No. Do I have absolute perfect lighting? No. Is it better than it was last year? Absolutely yes. So, studio improvements. One of the goals I set last year was to update the layout of my Stream Deck. So, I've refined my Stream Deck layout for this show and a whole bunch of other things so that I've got a predefined way that the show buttons are set. I never change them so that I know when I hit a specific button, it's always in the same place. Last year, every week I was changing those buttons back, mastering the mundane, but treating it as a part of the studio update. Those are achievements. What did all of that do for me? I'm much more confident in what I'm putting on the screen, even though I did mute myself tonight. I'm much more confident because things are settling in. I'm not concerned about how the mic sounds. I'm not concerned about whether I have decent lighting. I'm not concerned if the light is going to fall over. Oh, yeah, I added a teleprompter, not because I'm reading, but because it forces me to keep my eye on you because I can put things up on the screen. And I'm not constantly looking this way because I'm trying to pay attention. And it just made it easy for me. So, updating the studio as I set last year as a goal has been very helpful. Changing my chair from the one that I had last year. Simple things, but they are improvements that has helped me be more productive because I'm not worried about those things. It's removed that emotional friction in my process. Okay. Number 4 is workflow updates. Workflow updates. Some of the things I've done this year moved a lot of workflows from different systems into one place. What do I mean by that? My newsletter content production is all on my website. I use Podia, and there's a link, by the way, link in the um, description below for some of the affiliates. But I use, and I'll just remind you, it's subscribe if you haven't. I use Podia. So my content, my newsletter template is set up. My other content that I send out regularly, the templates are set up. So all I have to do is write the actual content and then it just goes out. I've learned how to and set up email campaigns within my email system. And so those are things that I've done to help reduce the friction in my workflow. I refined my booking schedules. So all of the individual bookings that I had, I deleted a bunch of them, cleaned them up so that when people want to book time with me, they go one place and one place only. They go to my website, they pick what they want, it books them, and it's done. That wasn't in place last year. So, yeah, it was in place last week. It was not in place last year. And I put those workflows in place and I've just repeated them over and over. Mastering the mundane, repeat them over and over. Repeat them over and over. Refining the way I write my monthly brief for the shows. I think I shared with you all, I write the month out for the entire month. I plan it out, what it's going to cover, what the goals are, what the intentions are, what the questions are that are getting answered. I do that in a basically a show brief, but I do it for the entire month. It's not one individual brief for each show. And then I break those apart. I changed my run of show process. So I was combining my checklist and my run of show. I've separated them. My run of show is really defined. Thank you, Kirk Nugent, for helping me get that straightened out, as opposed to my script. And because I now have a defined set in Ecamm for the production that matches what's in my Stream Deck, much smoother process. So workflow updates have reduced a lot of friction along the way. For you, same thing, regardless of whatever it is you're doing, whatever that role is, figuring out for yourself what are the things I can improve to reduce friction so that I can just execute, execute, execute. Am I going to do improvements along the way? Sure. But I can just be focused on executing and not focused on how am I going to make this work? When I go to write my newsletter, am I following a different process every time I go to write, whether it's once a week or once a month or whatever your frequency is? If your process is the same, those workflows, the tools that you use are the same to execute that portion of your work, it's a whole lot less stress and a whole lot smoother, and you get to the result much faster. So, the last thing I want to talk about is what comes next. What comes next? I'm going to tell you, and this is going to be a big one. So, this is the one goal for 2025. For October of 2025, I want to come back and I want you all, the community, to hold me accountable. I want to publish tutorials. There's so many ways, so many tutorials that need to go out that people are missing, that you're missing in your process. If you want to really get a return on those 1,440 minutes, there are new things happening every day. I'll give you an example, and I'm actually recorded the screen recording today. Um, and Denise, it may have been you who asked this, and welcome, and also welcome to our other moderator, Inanea. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm going to get you guys here on the screen and bring up. But Google enabled dark mode in the calendar and in task. And I noticed it today when I was doing some work for a board that I sit on, and I'm on a one of the board of directors I sit on, and I was doing some work with them, and I went into the Google account, and the message popped up to turn on dark mode. Ooh, I love dark mode, so I immediately turned it on, and then I thought, this is new. I need to do a tutorial. So for my community members who are in the Google ecosystem, it's so many things that are changing in there every day that I want to be able to get it out and not just tell you that the feature is there, but give you specific use cases. How do you use it for your good and your benefit? So that's that. I'm going to go ahead and say hello to some people who are out there. So glad to have you in the building. So I want to say hello. I'm going to start at the top and say hello to Frank Jackson. I think he races David Hunt to be here first. And hello, 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 Yolanda. And just for those who are here live with me, if you put the word equip in comments, the Nightbot will make your channel so that people can follow you, subscribe, and help you reach your numbers goals that you have in terms of subscribers. So please add it in. Yolanda, you made again, huge, huge milestone this week. And thank you for saying love this, stay the course. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Tech What are you talking about, squirrel? You love squirrel. That should be your middle name. I'm gonna start this question and I'll come back to you and answer your question. And yes, hello, Miss Inanea. So missed you last week. I hope all is well. Glad to see you in the building doing your thing. Yes, moderator salute. And moderator salute to you, Mr. David Hunt, lurking and having dinner. We got a building full of moderators to all of you all. Miss Yolanda, moderator salute to you. So yeah, we got a building full of y'all tonight. Roy, I like majoring in the minors and overthinking, though. Okay, well, if you enjoy doing that, please continue. If it makes you happy and that's productive for you, please continue. Oh, I'll say. S- So, what can I do to reduce friction? I've been thinking about that today. I want to come back to that because it's that's a good question. That is a great question. Let me just make sure. Did I get anybody else? Did I forget anybody? Did I miss somebody? Making sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay. So let's start with this question. What are some tips to staying motivated when feeling unmotivated? What are some tips to stay motivated when you feel unmotivated? That goes back to number one that I talked about, stay in the course. And the number one thing is remembering what's called your why. The real reason you're taking on the thing that you took on. It whether it's a new job, a new project, a new role, why? Why are you doing it? And it has to be something the why has to be deeper than the surface things. If you've ever heard this, ask yourself the 5 whys. Start with why, and when you get that why that? When you get that why, go a level deeper, why that? When you get that one, go a level deeper, why that? And by the time you answer that 5th one, that's your real why. It's not that first one. Example, if I said my why for starting this content creation or this live streaming journey, which now has exploded into so many other things, was to learn live streaming. That why is not deep enough for me to stay the course when it gets hard or when I get distracted or when I feel overwhelmed or when I feel unmotivated. So why would I want to learn live streaming? Well, to support a nonprofit that needed my help. Well, why would you do that? Well, because I had a message that was given to me and I was supposed to be doing this a long time ago, getting this message out. Why would you do that? Because God specifically gave me this assignment and no one else can do it. He gave it to me. Why would that be important to you? Because the one reliance I have in everything in my life is God. From about the age of 7, that has been the one immovable constant in my life, and it shall be. That's my why. So if you've ever heard me say my why is because I had to be obedient to an assignment that came from God, that's deep in me. It's bigger than numbers, subscribers, money, anything else. That's my real why. So that's where the motivation comes from when I'm tired, when I don't want to do it, when I'm overwhelmed, when I feel like I'm never going to learn something, when I feel like what I'm doing is not nearly as good as what other people are doing. It doesn't look as good. It doesn't sound as good. It's not as polished. I come back to what's that real deep rooted inside of me. Why? If that's been helpful, you let me know. And Yolanda, you know how to reach me. We can have some one on one conversations separately out of the public square because you know I'm a big believer in having those real deep conversations and they don't happen in the public square. They don't happen in the the public square. So we got a couple of other people who have joined us. So I want to say hello. Welcome, Miss Dawn Drake. How are you doing? So glad that you dropped in. So glad. I hope all is well with you. We miss you. We miss you. I just want to tell you the Healthcare Academy is still going. Your baby is still going. It's still going. So just want to let you know that. All right. So, Miss Denise, you had asked a question basically. I'm going to go back and find it here. Give me 1 second. Okay, you said you weren't asking a question, but I do want to touch on that because one of the things that um, I talk about, and you know my thing is remove the friction. Well, finding and uncovering all the little friction points, it's a journey that doesn't end. As you find a piece of friction and you remove it, that opens up the next level and you can peel that proverbial onion back and you'll find the next bump and you'll remove that bump and you'll keep going and you'll find the next bump and you'll remove that bump. It's a slow, this is that slow 1% improvement, incremental, small, almost imperceptible. Like they almost, you don't even sometimes see them happening when they're happening. Like I didn't know what a big difference it was going to make for me to reorganize my Stream Deck buttons. I had convinced myself that I could not remember the icons. I needed words. So I had done all these icons and labels on the Stream Deck and I had words. What that created for me was, yeah, I had to read them, but that was the friction. I had to read them, which meant I had to take my focus off of you when I'm doing a stream to read the content on the button and come back. So when I realized that, I was like, okay, this is why people do these little icon picture things because they don't have to read it, they just look at it. So now they're arranged in a certain order. The top, and I'll do a video on this. The top row has is a certain set of things. The middle row is where my main content is, and the bottom row is something else. So finding those little bit by bit the same way I watch you do laundry lab, help us plan meals, help us with doing um, our zone cleaning, your daily swipe and swoosh, girl, that thing was magic in my world. Let me just tell you, magic in my world. The same way you teach us to do that, whatever the area is, start to break it down just same way that you do those things for us and help us. Well, I'm glad you got back home safely. And Roy, you say you're starting a fitness program, and if I don't exercise Monday through Friday, I have to pay my wife $2 each day I miss. Okay, well, if that motivation works for you, I hope it does. I hope it does. I'll tell you a really weird motivation I had one time for something. I was reaching for a goal, and my mentor at the time told me, so yeah, telling on myself. Okay. My mentor told me at the time, you cannot buy any more shoes until you reach this goal. Do you know how hard that was for me? I don't care anything about clothes. Like I can wear the same uniform every day. Don't care. Shoes, however, it is yeah, and not just shoes, high heels specifically. My thing. specific pumps, and I'm real particular. When he told me I couldn't buy any shoes, I got my tail to working. That was my motivation because I wanted some shoes I had seen and I couldn't get them. So the $2 a day that you miss, let that be your motivation. Hey, oops. Hey, Philip. Glad to have you in the building. Even if you're listening, doing things in the kitchen, that is awesome. If you're just listening, glad to have you here. And if you're part of the replay crew, love having you be a part of the You know what? Stop, Frank. Y'all see what he did? Let me just show you what he did. Just you wrong on all kind of levels. You wrong. You tell him a business. You tell it my business. But he knows. He knows it is a whole problem. It is a whole problem in my world. So that is the content. I'm gonna just run through real quick and just give you a summary of the two lessons that I walked through this year in my journey, the two improvements I made from last year that I set, and my goal going forward. So number one is lesson, stay the course, don't quit. Stick with those small incremental improvements to achieve what it is you want to achieve. Number two, master the mundane. Don't be so quick to just want the big thing at the end. The big thing at the end will come, but it's those incremental, small, mundane, routine, day in, day out activities that will make the difference. Those were the two lessons. The two improvements I made going through this process from last year was, of course, I talked about my studio update. Next year, you may have more studio update. Who knows? But all of the studio update helped me with the two lessons. They helped me in doing the mundane. They helped me in staying consistent. Number four is update workflows. I updated quite a few of my workflows. Denise and everybody else, not to call you out, but since we talked about removing friction, updating those workflows and dialing them in, I didn't change any of the software I used this year, which is a lesson in and of itself. I did not change a single solitary piece of my regular routine productivity software that I used this year. I consistently stayed and used all of what I already had. Didn't change it. And goal this coming year is to publish more tutorials, which is really pre-recorded or video on demand content to so that means the workflow to ideate, research, write, edit, film, write, edit the writing, film the content, edit the video, and publish the video, and learn to write good titles and descriptions around it. So that's the big one going into the next year. Denise, you are so right. Let me tell you how bad it is. To tell you how bad it is. When I moved into my home, you know, you get the standard closets with just the rack and the one shelf. I went through with a builder, had each of the closets laid out the way I wanted, and I had each closet built specifically for the purpose. One closet, I had custom shoe racks built into the closet. Yeah, that's how ridiculous. This is how ridiculous it is. So yeah, Denise, that would look like me. Yes. So thank you. I have enjoyed being with you all here this evening. This wraps up the month, and I want to say thank you for being a part of the community. And I look forward to another year of growth, not only for myself, but serving you, helping you remove the friction in your day to day activities and routines so that you Maximize those 1,440 minutes you have every day and get a return on it, and you achieve those priorities that are important to you in your life. So I'm going to say good night, and I will see you guys next week. And the playlist for this month of reflection will be posted right here for you to enjoy. Have a great day, everybody.